out of the way. All right, so this week, CBS released footage from an interview that Gayle King did with basketball phenom and legend Lisa Leslie. Amongst many other topics, they discussed her career, her friendship with Kobe Bryant, and as well as Kobe Bryant's rape allegation from back in 2003, I believe, and how that affected their relationship, and I guess how that somehow plays into Kobe's legendary status post-mortem, because he has since passed away. Now, in the clip, Gayle can be seen and heard asking repeated questions about the allegation. And you can see that Lisa Leslie, in part, even becomes, I don't know, to me, it seems, and I'm not a body language expert, and I also do not know Lisa Leslie. So as to what she was feeling in that moment when she was asked about the allegation, I know that there is one point where Lisa says to Gayle, Kobe was not that kind of guy. He was not the kind of guy who was aggressive with women. I have basketball playing friends who we would be out in the club and they would ask me to, go get a girl for them. He was never that kind of guy. And Gayle alludes to the fact that even if he was that kind of guy, because of Lisa's friendship with him, she would not be able to see the monster inside of him. Well, needless to say that the world responded with the same visceralness that they assumed was taking place in that interview. We got responses from Snoop Dogg, from Charlemagne, from Ari Lennox, from Mark Lamont Hill, from Eric Dyson. Just a myriad of people weighing in on the interview. Now, what I will say is this. Snoop Dogg came out and released his own iOS footage and kind of reprimanding Gayle and calling her a dog-faced bitch. Now, Snoop Dogg is a rap legend who, of course, himself has had his own share of controversy surrounding his name and his legendary status, so to speak. Many people were riled up by Snoop's video, and this led to Gayle King facing death threats, amongst many other things. So after this happened, I would say 2 days later, you see Oprah Winfrey, who is currently on a speaking engagement tour, which stopped here in New York City yesterday. And she was interviewed by Hoda Kotb and I believe one of the Bush girls. I believe it's Jenna Bush or whatever, who cares, for NBC this morning. And she was asked how Oprah is doing and how Gayle is doing, and Oprah said, she's not good. She was on the verge of tears when she was talking about Oprah. She's not good. She's really sad, and she's now having to walk around with security and blah, 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 blah. All right, so let's just level set this, right? Because we all know what happened. Unless you've been hiding under a rock, you know how this played out. Now, I think we all have opinions about the interview in question. We all have our own feelings about Kobe Bryant and the 8 people, including his daughter Gianna, who perished in that horrible helicopter crash, amongst other things. What I will say is I think that the line of questioning about Kobe's dismissed and acquitted rape case was distasteful. I think that it borderlined on bad journalistic integrity on Gayle King's part. And I think that she acted in a very tone-deaf manner, which, let me tell you something. Here's what I know to be true. And I'm not saying this specifically about Gayle, but I'm just saying in general. I think that a lot of times when you reach a specific level of success, whoever you are, you feel untouchable by certain things. I think that sometimes your ego can lead you to act in a way that is not befitting of who you are as a person. Gayle went on to issue an apology via Instagram, an Instagram video message. And she said, she's going to talk to the network because, it was very salacious of them to release just that portion of the interview and not really get into the fact that, this interview was broader in scope and she asked many other questions. To that, I say, this is very much like a reality show. The footage that you give them is the footage that they have. And I don't want to belabor this because honestly, I'm just actually sick of the whole thing. But, back in, I want to say back a couple of years ago, Gayle King's co-anchor, Charlie Rose, a white man with a distinguished journalistic tenure at CBS, was accused of sexual assault and sexual misconduct at the CBS studios, which ultimately led to him being fired. When Gayle King was asked about Charlie Rose, her response was, there are two sides to every story. And I think that what Black America is feeling right now, and it wasn't just Black America who was kind of discombobulated by Gayle's line of questions about the rape case. I think by and large, any human with a soul was taken aback by her line of questioning, even to the point where it seemed as though Lisa Leslie was uncomfortable and, kind of said what she said, but Gayle kept pushing. It seems as though Oprah and Gayle have a little bit more of a harder stance when it comes to stuff like this as it pertains to Black men. Their friendships with Harvey Weinstein, Charlie Rose, amongst others, because it is also not a secret that one of Oprah Winfrey's spiritual gurus that she followed and had featured on her show is now serving time for sexual assault amongst other misconducts. And you don't see her doing a documentary about that, a documentary about men in media. There are certainly many men in media. Charlie Rose, what is Marnie's dad's name? I forgot his name, but he is an NBC anchor. Brian Williams, yes, who was also dismissed from his job at NBC. So I say all of that to say that it just seems as though that these two women have been tone deaf and perhaps a little bit more hard on Black men who have been accused of sexual assault. Now, listen, Bill Cosby got to tweeting Snoop Dogg. Now, Snoop had to know that he went down the wrong path when Snoop was being tweeted by Bill Cosby saying, listen, they did it to me too, and whatever. Listen, Bill spent a lot of time telling Black men that they needed to pull his pants up. Meanwhile, not giving prudence to the fact that he needed to stop pulling his fucking pants down. So I don't really want to hear shit from Bill. Bill is not the nigga that you want caping up for you, Uncle Snoop, okay? I think that the worst thing that we can do is attack each other viscerally and really give attention to stuff like this where there's a lot of other things going on in the world. And I am, amongst others, still mourning. I mean, Kobe hasn't even been buried yet. I'm still mourning the death of Kobe Bryant and his beautiful daughter and 7 other people who perished in that horrific helicopter crash just a mere couple of weeks ago. It hasn't been more than 2 weeks, you know? Ari Lennox even. I thought Ari Lennox's response was befitting. She called them Kale and Oprah, and she, said, like, we gotta stop. We gotta stop being so hard on one another and not, listen, it's not to say that, if you're black and you commit sexual assault, that's okay. But if you're white and you do it, you should be punished. You should be punished all the way around. Don't disrespect people's space and their bodies. But also don't disrespect people, period. It just seemed like it was just completely disgusting. And it was nasty. I'm sorry. Susan Rice, ambassador to, she is a government ambassador. She served during the second Clinton administration as Assistant Secretary of State for African Americans, and she also served in the Obama administration as U.S. National Secretary Advisor for the cabinet. She actually chimed in yesterday telling Snoop that he needed to back the fuck off because he was not going to win any fight that he tried to press against Gayle. I also think that is the wrong response. I think that, Uncle Snoop said that he said what he said, and he ain't taking it back until he is able to see Gayle King in person and they can have a conversation. I think that if I were Gayle King, I wouldn't want to see Snoop in person because it feels aggressive. You know what I mean? And committing violence or inciting violence to any woman is a disgusting thing. I think that we can criticize each other without putting each other in harm's way. I think that we can criticize each other without calling each other out of our names. I think that we could criticize each other without, by and large, showing our asses. And that's all I got to say about that. So Nicki Minaj and Meek Mill, they also engaged in a little verbal spar as Nicki dropped her new single, Yikes. What do y'all think about I like it. I think it's cute. She worked with the same producer that works with DaBaby. So if any of the flow sounds the same to you, that would probably be why. She did not, though, incite this little verbal spar. So I guess there was a picture posted of Nicki and her man, and he's wearing a little outfit, and someone reposted a picture or posted a picture of a side-by-side of Nicki and her man and a window from a Jimmy Jazz store, and Meek liked the picture. Now, this went on to them pulling out allegations of domestic violence, pulling out her brother's conviction of sexual assault, her pulling out domestic violence allegations against him, and also him putting his hands allegedly on his sister and his mother. It just got really, really nasty really quick. Now, both of them are dropping new music this week. Meek dropped a new single with Justin Timberlake, I'm Not Interested. It is called Believe, I'm Not Interested. And to be honest with you, one of the reasons why I don't believe in Believe is because it don't seem like, it seems like, okay, the job of that single is to help propel Meek into his A-list stardom. And I'm going to tell you what. Number one, I don't see that for Meek. And this is not this is not shade or tea. It's just that I see Rockefeller and I see Rock Nation really pushing to make Meek this guy who's like this political figure, who is this A-list rapper, who is,